2022 Hajj, fourth Nigerian pilgrims dies in Mecca. Terrorists abduct 50 in Niger village. Gunmen kill 5 police officers, 4 others in Katsina. Yoruba community in the heart of Igbo-speaking Delta produces own Bible dictionary. These stories are on the front page of the Saturday Tribune. Let's look at the inside page and read some of the stories. Pan-Yoruba group Afenifere has asked the Muhammadu Buhari administration to stop what it called giving terrorists kid gloves treatment. Afenifere stated this on Friday in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Jari Ajayi, in which it reacted to an announcement made on Thursday by the federal government to ban commercial motorcycling in the country as a measure against banditry and terrorism. Moving out to other stories, terrorists kidnapped 50 in Niger village. Terrorists on Friday invaded Kuchi village in Munya local government area of Niger State and kidnapped about 50 people. It was gathered that the terrorists arrived in the village around 2 a.m. during a rainfall, staged a house-to-house raid, and abducted people. In the process, it was however gathered that the terrorists with their captives were trapped in Dangamo River due to the heavy downpour. The resident, Alhaji San Abubakar Yusuf Koki, who is also the convener of the concerned Shiroro Youth, said there was no report of death or injury, but about 50 residents of the village were kidnapped by the government. Still on the inside page of the Saturday Tribune, aviation fuel scarcity, flight operations will be disrupted. Airline operators have announced an acute shortage of aviation fuel, which will disrupt flight operations of the country. A public notice issued on Friday by the spokesperson of the operation under the aegis of Airline Operators of Nigeria, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, declared that the sector has been hit by a major crisis of acute scarcity of the commodity. Osun husband killer commits suicide. Ifeoluwa, wife of Bolu Bamidele, who died after the woman set him ablaze on Tuesday in Osogbo, Osun State, for allegedly having a child out of wedlock, has died by suicide. Ifeoluwa, whose remains have been deposited in the mortuary of the Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Hospital, Jalayemi, Osogbo, was alleged to have consumed a poisonous substance and killed herself so as to avoid facing the legal penalty for killing her husband. It was gathered that the woman fled to Elisha after killing her husband on Tuesday and then contacted some lawyers to help her case. However, it was learned that on getting to the address given to them, the lawyers were handed a letter by the woman, who suddenly collapsed and died as a result of poison she was suspected to have consumed. Still, the inside page of the Saturday Tribune. The Pan-Yoruba Social Cultural Association, Afenifere Ondo State Chapter, has urged the National Assembly to reject the National Water Resources Bill, which was represented in June 29. The bill was represented for first reading by the chairman of the House Committee on Water Resources, Sada Soli. The bill, which was introduced and rejected by the lawmakers during the 8th Assembly following public outcry, was reintroduced in the current 9th Assembly in 2020, but faced adverse reaction from Nigerians, forcing the National Assembly to step it down. Afenifere, in a statement issued at the end of its caucus meeting on Friday in Akure by Mr. Remi Olayiwola, the publicity secretary, said the reintroduction of the bill was an insult to Nigerians from all the geopolitical divide. 30 passengers died in Kaduna road accident. No fewer than 30 passengers were found beyond recognition, while 12 others sustained various injuries from an accident involving 3 vehicles at Tasha Musa in Zaria Kano Expressway in Kokam local government area of the state. Witnesses said the accident occurred when 2 of the affected vehicles collided and immediately went in flames. We still have other stories from the inside page of the Saturday Tribune. We also have some picture stories there. Okay, let me quickly read these. The Council for Islamic Affairs in Ekiti State has called on members to take advantage of the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise to enroll for their permanent voters cards so as to vote during the 2023 general election. The council, in a statement signed by its president, Dr. Falabi Bakari, and its secretary, Sheikh Ahmed Yusuf, noted that Muslim faithful in the state must be ready to participate in next year's election. Yes, this is how far we go on this segment, the newspaper segment of the Saturday morning treat. We already have our guests in the house. We'll be taking a look at the overview of the Osun gubernatorial election. Our guests will be in shortly. Please stay tuned.
So what do you do with good old boys like me? Nothing makes a sound in the night like the wind does. But you ain't afraid if you're washed in the blood like I was. The smell of cave jasmine through the wooden screen. John R. and the Wolfman kept me company. By the light of the radio by my bed, with Thomas Wolfe whispering in my head. I can still hear the soft southern winds in the live oak trees. And those Williams boys, they still mean a lot to me. Hank in Tennessee, I guess.
Yes, you are welcome back. If you're just joining us, it is still the Saturday morning treat, and we are on our first guest platform. Yes, we informed you earlier that we will be doing the post-election analysis of the 2022 Osun governorship election. And we have a guest in the house who will be doing that. Kyrie,
Yeah.
who's our guest?
Yeah, thank you, viewers at home. Our guest is here with us in the house, Barrister Femi Ayodoko.
Good morning.
Barrister, you are welcome on the program.
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
He's actually a friend of the house.
Very well, very well. You can very well see.
Yes, the election has come and gone. Are you satisfied with the outcome?
Well,
The entire process.
yes, you would not expect 100% performance in any venture that is human, you
Okay.
know, because of the human factor, things you do not expect to happen. But generally speaking, I think it was a good thing we had. Okay, we still had vote buying, you know. Independent observers said so.
Okay.
They see much more, holistically speaking, than we see, because they were everywhere. Okay, and they are said to be independent observers. They still observed that there was vote buying across board. Okay, almost all the parties were involved in it from their report. Okay, but maybe the highest bidder got the highest vote. We still had that, but it was not as prevalent as it was in the Ekiti election. Talking about peace, tranquility, quiet, orderliness, it was fantastic. Though we had pockets of violence in one place or the other, but like I said before, you do not expect completely, totally itch free. You know, we are still going there, but it was good. The beavers made the day for us. Yes, generally speaking.
Now, talking about the election, how will you assess the conduct of the officials of the INEC?
Well, I would say it was exemplary.
Yeah.
You know, if you put it side by side, what we had before now, again and again. In Osun, we had about 6 elections before, you know, and I believe I was here most of those elections. Okay, there were elections we had that you could feel violence in the air, thick in the air.
Yeah.
Soldiers were in the open, maltreating, in some sense killed some people, used by one party or the other. Okay, but this time it was not militarized. Okay, the INEC agents were there just doing their work. The military and paramilitary people were there, but you could not see them because they were in the background, gently just monitoring what was going on. And I said to myself, this is what I see when I go outside this country. You know, those military and paramilitary people are there, okay, but you really do not see them, okay. They only step in when it's like something wants to get out of hand. It was okay.
Now, let's look at our election journey in Nigeria so far. How would you say we have actually arrived with this recently conducted election? The journey so far, the way people comport themselves, security agencies, and the introduction, the signing of the Electoral Act.
Okay.
Okay, how would you say it has? How has it helped the process?
There was this, thank you. There was this justice wires panel that was put together years back, you know, to help us have better elections.
Okay.
It's only very little of what our panel suggested to the federal government that they are presently doing, that's in the Electoral Act.
Okay.
And that very little has helped us this far.
Okay.
One would wish they would go the whole hog
Okay.
and implement the wires and have the political will to fully implement the wires panel report. Oh, it will be uhuru for our election system. It would just be made. Okay, but well, we have what we have now. We commend the president, President Buhari, for signing the Electoral Act. It has made it possible to use the beavers, which to a large extent had made rigging very difficult. We also must say kudos to the political parties who have largely cooperated with the implementation of the Electoral Act. Okay. I also would want to say that compared to past elections, it's a lot better. And as to whether or not we are there yet, no, we are not there yet, but we're on the way there. What I would look at is a system where we do not have to have a public holiday to conduct elections.
Okay.
Okay, you know, the Nigerian Bar Association recently conducted elections into its offices. The same day we had the Osun State elections. If you were not a lawyer or reading the papers seriously, you wouldn't know that was happening. Okay, because we didn't have to go to any physical location to do the election. Everything was done on our devices, electronic telecommunication devices. You could vote on your laptop. You could go vote on your office PC. You could vote on your mobile device. And give it to me. Before 8 p.m. or thereabout, or the following day, we knew who the winner of the elections were. Okay, so I look at it where we can also get to the issue of fully electronic voting. You know, that would be okay. I bounced that off my daughter, and she said to me, "Dad, what are you talking about? Computers can be hacked." You know, I said very well, yes, okay. But then you keep improving on these things. The integrity of the computer system can be dealt with. You put firewalls, you test, you know where it starts from, where it ends, you encrypt, you know. So I think with time we will get that right. But if we can get to that, oh, fantastic.
Okay, let me still on that now. What about the Nigeria has a lot of rural dwellers that may not actually be, up to date with all this mobile, whatever you're talking about, electronic voting. What will happen to this set of people?
You see, we must stop thinking that way. Okay. Because teledensity, and ICT footprints all over Nigeria is something that government and the private sector are actively working on. Much more than we know. Okay, rural areas are accessing the internet. It's increasing. Okay, and I say to you, if the farmer knows what button to press to call his son who lives in US, at one touch of the button on his phone, he can vote on his phone.
Okay.
We all just need to make it as simple as can be. That is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah. In your earlier submission, you mentioned the issue of vote buying, which seems to be a major problem confronting our electoral system. How do you think we can get over this problem?
Now, you see, under the Electoral Act 2020, from about section 120 to about section 127, there are electoral offences specified there, and punishment that goes with the commission of those offences. For me, I think what we need to do is to have special courts that are meant to handle electoral offences committed at any given cycle of elections. Okay, and those cases are supposed to be time bound, held or conducted within the strict specification of the AJCL, which is the new criminal procedure law that we had a few years back, that make criminal trials faster. Okay, if we do that, we would expect that in maximum of 2 years from a particular election cycle, all offenders from that election cycle would be eating beans and gari at Elisha if found guilty. Okay, but for the love of me, can you imagine the election we had the last time? Some of those offences there are still being prosecuted. We're just getting convictions. Okay, you know, that's about 4 years back. You know, that's too slow. Okay, we need to have a justice system, a criminal prosecution system that will make it faster to run the rail into the jail for offenders under a particular electoral cycle. If we do that, it will be an effective means of deterrence, you know, for those who want to ply the trade of electoral offense. You know, you do it, you do the time. Okay, and nobody really wants to do it any time in prison. Okay, you know. So the more we make that effective, the lesser we have those crimes coming in, electoral offenses coming in. You know. And I think the electoral law, it's not good enough when it offers options of fine. Okay, for some of these electoral offences. You know, you may say it sounds harsh, but across board there should be no option of fine, so that they will taste prison. You know, because the big man who sends them to commit the offence can as well throw 500,000 naira at him, go and pay the, you know, he doesn't mind the stigma of conviction. Okay, but if you must enter into initial prisons, if you're prisons, and eat beans, watery beans, then it will be very good deterrence. You know? So I think that's what we really need to improve on. The vote buying will be lower and lower still.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you now suggest a kind of special court for electoral offences.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you very much. Yes, we should have a special court that will try electoral offences. You know the advantage it has. You know, I salute our judicial officers, both at the lower bench and the Court of Records, okay, Superior Court of Records. You know, they do so much, okay. But what you find is that because the vagaries of our societies, one thing here or there, cases get adjourned at times unduly, and it slows down the process, okay. But when you have a special court that is focused on dealing with electoral offences, which will not be fill up the whole docket, they are not much. You know, generally speaking, you get a situation where that court can focus on that. If you go strictly, by the provisions of the Administration of Justice criminal law, provision procedure law, you know, you will not have room for those funny adjournments. It just goes day to day, okay, and the judge has no time for trifles and for time wasting. You know, I know judges who don't have time for that. You know, and they will do the job very well. Now, if we do that, you can prosecute them fast enough, and then judgment is hard. People see it. Okay, when the next cycle of election comes, they know the Electoral Act from section 122, 127 is not playing card with you. You know, you touch the elections in a criminal manner, you do the time.
All right, I was still talking about the election. You mentioned earlier about the WISE Commission, and the recommendation is made that the Electoral Act and law are just a tiny part of it. What are some of the other things that are supposed to be captured and have not yet been captured?
You will discover that electronic voting is a big issue in there. You know, now you will discover that the intervention of state officials, incumbents in elections, are also issues that were there. A lot of that have been done now. Before, you used to have it that excuse me, an incumbent governor, for instance, will say, oh, I want to inspect what's going on with the elections, and he leaves the state capital, and his using his convoy to go all through the states.
Yeah.
What is he doing? He is encouraging rigging everywhere he stops.
Yes.
Carrying soldiers and policemen with him, you know, who are doing the bidding of his party to influence the outcome of the election. Now you don't have that. There are outcomes of, you know, very soon we should be moving to the stage where why should you be talking to a sitting governor during elections? Okay? Why? Okay? You know, you should talk to just everybody across board or just view what is happening. What people see speaks much more than what they hear. People want to see what's going on there. Not what the reporter is telling them, the governor, the deputy governor, or the senator who is contesting is saying. Okay? You know, those are things that were there, you know, that are yet to really be put in to the I'm talking about the budget. Okay, they are on a very tight budget. Okay, they could do better with more money. Okay, they could do better with the money released. You know, for the one that's going to come for 2023, I think the provision stipulate that it must be released a year ahead.
Yes.
You know, whether that has been done now, I don't quite remember. Okay, so if they go the old gamut, you know, we will get a better product. But the INEC has done this plenty within the means of what they have and against the backdrop of where we're coming from. Yes.
Now, looking at our election system, we will find out that a large segment of people in the society doesn't vote during the election, especially the police, the army, the prison officers,
And journalists.
and even journalists.
I noticed that.
Yes, who are not privileged to work in the places where they're supposed to vote. Now, considering all this, is there a way we can enable these people to participate in voting?
That's not a difficult thing. Number one, if we eyeball the challenge that electronic voting portends, and we deal with that properly, a journalist doing his beat during election should be able to pick up his mobile phone and cast his or her vote. Going away from that, INEC has a way of moving your voting place or unit or polling unit from where it used to be to where you are for your election duties. Now, if all those are factored into it, you know, INEC is informed well ahead of time. This policeman will be at John McKay polling unit during, excuse me, 2023 elections. Oh, very well. INEC could arrange to have his PVC wired into the system, the arrangement for John McKay polling unit. So as he gets there to do his job, he votes first, and then starts the job. He also will see his laptop with indelible ink as he does his job. These things they are doable. All we need to do is to look at the logistics of getting them done. You know, I didn't like it myself. I noticed that the security officers couldn't vote when I came here that day to do something for the public by joining in comment on elections. I noticed you all were here from the beginning of the day to the very close of the day, and I didn't see indelible ink on your laptop. I had one because I had voted for I came here. I didn't like the fact that you guys could not vote. You know, but if we do that, something in the similitude of that, we should be able to do.
Now, this issue actually came up during the stakeholders meeting with INEC preparatory to the election, and the INEC. The state rep then, Professor Abdul Raji, said they had visited an African country preparatory to the election, and they noticed that they had the same issue, but they were able to solve it. They said 2 weeks to the election, that all those on essential duties will cast their vote first. 2 weeks to the election, and the votes won't be counted.
Yes,
and kept at the
secrecy of ballot will be kept.
Maintained. Then immediately after the general election, then they'll add everything together and now count. Now, he said they are trying to make a move to include that in the electoral law. Now, do you think that can also work out?
Well,
in the case of Nigeria?
I don't know which African country is talking about. If it's Togo, not a bad idea. If it's Ghana, they're about 36 million or something. You know, not even up to that.
Yeah.
If it's Ghana, not a bad idea. You know, if it's Rwanda, not a bad idea. What's the population like?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a jot or a dot in the ocean compared to what Nigeria is like.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you will be doing that, you could have issues with improper disclosure of the ballot.
Okay.
You know, because our system is getting electronic fine, but not yet as largely electronic, computerized as maybe what you had in that African country is talking about, where when the ballot is done, it is warehoused, and then the information is encrypted until it is decrypted. Only those with access codes to the votes where it is kept know what exactly those who voted said. Okay, but I don't know. We are not there just like that yet.
Okay.
I will be looking at the type of situation suggestions I was making. Okay, you know, change the location of PVC cards. It's not a difficult thing to do. They know that. You know, it's a touch of a few buttons to pass through certain security approvals, and then the PVC is located where you serve. A reporter going to report in some place, the news agency would have told them the reporter ABC will be at Irewole, polling unit XYZ. You know, she gets there or he gets there and can vote immediately and then do his or her job.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, looking at the totality of election, do you think the successes said to have been recorded at Ekiti and Osun can be replicated in the country?
Well,
regarding 2023 general elections.
Well, all things being equal, yes. But you see, there are certain local flavor, local tendencies in other climes, where in other parts of Nigeria, where election will also hold when we're talking about the very big cycle of elections, the federal elections and all that. You know, we still have very big issues with the north. Okay, where over time it has been shown, okay, that folks are brought in from neighboring northern hemispheric countries like Chad, Niger, you know, and others to come into Nigeria, and they have PVC cards. Some are not even up to the voting age, and they are voting. Okay, those how the INEC will deal with that. I should expect that BVAS should be able to capture that, so that then we can audit who are these people, their faces, because your face will match your thumb, okay, your thumbprint, your biometrics, okay, you know. But I hope we can do that. It's going to be very challenging for INEC, particularly up in the north, where you have larger number of voters, quote and unquote. A lot of them are said not to be Nigerians and are said to be underaged. You know, if INEC can get through that, crack that, you know, I should think from about the half of the orange that Nigeria can imagine it to be down to the south, we should be good to go. INEC should be able to replicate what we had in Osun State.
Okay, let's look at Nigeria's democracy in general now. Do you think the journey has been worth the while?
Yes. For the first time I'm saying that on air.
All right.
Because if you throw through all I've said here, since the first day I got into this studio, when you get me, ask me in here, you know, I do not sound that way. But now I sound a little different.
Okay.
The reason is because of the better elections that we're beginning to have. The more democracy we have, okay, the more democracy we have. By that I mean the more credible elections we have, the more credible elections we will have, and the more credible elections we have, the better of democracy we will have. Because the typical politicians who wants to be elected into office now knows if he does not perform on the job, there is no way he will get elected into office. If we crack the issue of vote buying, we're going some distance.
Okay.
But we need a lot of voter education. Voter education is still poor in Nigeria. Okay, we need to start from this cycle of election just concluded in national executive governorship. Okay, from now, INEC need to start to talk to people about what an election is.
Okay.
You know, reason why you should not collect money from a man to ask him into the government house at Okefia. If you do not collect money from him, he will be scared that the next 4 years he must show performance for your vote. Yeah. But if you pick up money from him, he's not obliged, you know, to perform and then try to persuade him to vote for him at the next diet of election when he would be seeking re-election. We need to let our people know more of this, you know, and you do not have to be literate to appreciate party manifestos. You know, it can be, you know, brought down, simplified by INEC, okay, you know, and tell people this man says he wants to do. Not everybody listens to the channels, TVC, OSBC, whatever debate, okay. I mean, a lot of people didn't have electricity in their homes when those debates were going on. I myself didn't. I watched a lot of them on my mobile device, on my iPad. Okay. You know, how many on the streets can get to that? Okay, so we need to find a way of letting the people know what Mr. A is promising us, what Mr. B is beyond those parties' campaigns on air. They will give it some, you know, slant that favors their party position. But INEC will be able to say specifically to people, use little leaflets, take more airtime on the radio, okay, you know, do community infusion, you know, that will make the electorate very literate on issues political. Yeah. And once they are literate on issues political, oh my God, money cannot sway them. A man will be ready to tell you he's full when he's actually hungry, when he has the goal to get good governance. But with what we have now, people still want to thumbprint and be able to get a pot of soup in return, which is ephemeral.
Amọ̀fẹ́wà ẹ kó atótónu látara ẹ jẹ́ ká wo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń gbéyẹ̀wò lórí ètò ìdìbò pàápàá jùlọ bó ṣe lọ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ẹ jẹ́ ká wò ní èdè àbínibí lójú tiyín ǹjẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí àjọ elétò ìdìbò àti àwọn èèyàn ṣe ń sọ pé ètò ìdìbò yẹn ó jágara pé ìtẹ̀síwájú ti bá ètò ìdìbò lójú tiyín ṣé lóòótọ́ ni pé ìtẹ̀síwájú tẹ̀ ti bá ètò ìdìbò wa lórílẹ̀‐èdè pẹ̀lú ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun.
àwọn àgbà bò sọ wípé ìgbàgbéláyò pé sàn án láàrin ajé ni mú ní pẹ̀kọ̀rọ̀ ajé yẹn wo ní jẹ́ báwọn ṣe rí ìdìbò wa tá a ṣe ti tán yìí ó mọ̀ dáa pọ̀ tí ìbá ṣe pé ajé korí wọlé níbì kan àwọn kan wọ́n fi gbúrùjì wọ́n fi ń gbìyànjú láti mú àwọn ènìyàn tẹ̀ka síbi tí àwọn tó lówó yẹn fẹ́ kí wọ́n tẹ̀ka sí. Tí ìbá ṣe yùn tó ṣẹlẹ̀ láwọn ibì kan àti àwọn kan bóyá tó gbára wọn lójú níbì kan wọn ò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ pọ̀ èmi ìbá sọ pé ìdìbò yẹn jágara ó dáa pọ̀ ó ti tó bí ìdìbò bíi 6 báwọn tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ wa láti gbàtẹ́ dá ìpínlẹ̀ sílẹ̀ mo ti rí bí bóyá bíi 4 tàbí 5 nínú rẹ̀ tá a bá ní ká gbé sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ara wọn ó dàbí pé ìta àṣetán yìí gan-an
ọmọ yẹn lórí
ṣe ìró.
kí wá làwọn ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn kùdìẹ̀kudiẹ kan tó bá irú ọ̀nà wo ni àjọ INEC lè gbà kí irú ẹ̀ má tún wáyé mọ́ ní ọdún tó ń bọ̀.
ṣe rí èròǹgbà tèmi ni pé INEC kọ̀ọ̀kan yẹ kó wà fún pé kó mọ̀ ṣètò ìdìbò nígbà ìdìbò bá tó ó yẹ kó wà fún kó máa fi àwọn òye mo mọ̀ pé yẹn wà nínú àwọn iṣẹ́ wọn nínú ìwé wọn gbé wọn kalẹ̀ kó máa fi òye yé àwọn aráàlú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ìdìbò ṣùgbọ́n kankan tí ò sí nínú àwọn òwe tó gbọ́n kalẹ̀ ni pé ó yẹ kí wọ́n tún ní ojúṣe láti rí pé wọ́n ń sọ fún ìjọba èmi ò rò pé yẹn wà nínú ìwé wọn pé wọ́n sọ fún ìwé tó gbé wọn kalẹ̀ pé wọ́n máa sọ fún ìjọba pé báyìí ní kẹ́ tún ṣe ẹjọ́ báyìí ní ká tún ṣe ẹjọ́ báyìí la tún nílò pé kẹ́ sọ pé ká ṣe kó fi lè ró wọn lágbára kí ìdìbò lè dára ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ mo rò pé ó yẹ kí INEC kọ́ mọ̀ ṣe yun náà gidi gan-an ṣùgbọ́n ìta ṣe tán yìí wọ́n ṣe dáadáa kí ni ìdíwọ́ mo ṣe sọ pé kọ́ mọ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣé ẹ rí láti abala ọgọ́rùn-ún 120 ẹmọ́bìnrin sí mi dé 127 nínú ìwé òfin ìdìbò ilé wa àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan wà jẹ́ pé a gbọ́dọ̀ máa ṣe ẹ̀tẹ́ yóò gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe nígbà ìdìbò yóò gbòlúwa rẹ̀ dé Iléṣà ọgbà ẹ̀wọ̀n ọgbà àtúnṣe ní Iléṣà tí wọ́n bá ṣe irú nǹkan báwọn ṣe rí wọn lè gbòlúwa rẹ̀ dẹ́wọ̀n àfi tí ilé ẹjọ́ bá ti kọ́kọ́ wo ẹ̀sùn náà tó sì dálúwa rẹ̀ ní ẹ̀bi àwọn èmi gbàgbọ́ pé báyìí àwọn ilé ẹjọ́ tó wà náà ni wọ́n ń gbèrú àwọn ẹjọ́ yẹn lọ ẹjọ́ tí ó gbọ́ mo dín kàrà sílẹ̀ èèyàn kan wá jí adájọ́ gbọ́ ẹjọ́ yẹn mo sọ ẹran mi mọ́bì kan èèyàn kan lọ tú yóò gbọ́yìn ilẹ̀ bàbá mi nílẹ̀ ohun tó wà ní ẹgbẹ́ odò ń bẹ̀rù èèyàn kan lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lẹ́ńkọ́lé lórí adájọ́ gbọ́yìn ní àti èèyàn kan lájọ́ ní iléeṣẹ́ yìí kọ́mpìnì ẹ sọ pé ìpín ìdókòwò 4 ní tiẹ̀ 6 ní tèmi ilé ẹjọ́ náà gbọ́yìn gbogbo àwọn ẹjọ́ bẹ̀wọ̀n wọ́n wá dá ti ẹjọ́ ẹ̀sùn ìdìbò wọ́n tún lọ dà yẹn pọ̀ mọ́ náà mọ́ àwọn adájọ́ yẹn sì ń gbìyànjú ẹjọ́ wọn gbìyànjú wọn ti ṣe takuntakun ó jẹ́ fẹ́ mọ̀ pọ̀ ju ìtapa wọn lè kalẹ̀ ìbádà ká ní wípé a ní àwọn ilé ẹjọ́ kan tá a gbé kalẹ̀ wípé ilé ẹjọ́ yìí o ẹ̀sùn ìdìbò nìkan ni ó mọ̀ gbọ́ ìdí ni pé bá ṣe ìdìbò tán ìbáyìí àwọn tí wọ́n bá mú láti àwọn agbófinró tán kárí papá mọ́ra wípé wọ́n ń ṣe ẹ̀sùn ìdìbò níbi ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ ìbáwọ̀ yẹ kó máa gbọ́n lọ sí ilé ẹjọ́ yẹn kí ilé ẹjọ́ lè gbọ́ ẹjọ́ wọn kò sátótó nìkan ságbẹ́jọ́rò kan fẹ́ lò bóyí bóyá lóṣù 6 ẹjọ́ yẹn parí yóò lè tètè lọ́mọ lọ Iléṣà lọ́mọ jẹ̀wà àti gàrí ń bẹ̀ ní kíákíá bẹ́ẹ̀ ló parí ó lè wáyé pé ẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún kan ọdún méjì láì sí owó ìtanràn ni yóò forí là kọjá ńgbà sáà ìdìbò míì bá tún máa dé fún gómìnà lọ́sùn ẹ rí i pé ń bọ̀ bá lọ pè pé jọ ọba gbé pálí owó ìdání kó ló bá fún àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan jù kọ̀ọ̀kan yóò mú bọ̀ sà mú bọ̀ kò ní padà lọ́bẹ̀ tó ó mọ̀ pé ó mọ̀ nǹkan tó ju òun rí ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí ni pé àwọn tó bá mú fún ẹ̀sùn ìdìbò ìmọ̀ pẹ́ kẹjọ́ yẹn ó tó tán nígbà tó bá ti máa di sáà ìdìbò míì èèyàn mélòó lórí ìjìyà tó wà fún nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ torí náà wọ́n lọ ṣe ṣùgbọ́n tí ìjìyà ẹ̀ bá wà ó ti wà báyìí tó sì ń dé kánkán yóò jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn kọ́ mọ̀ fà sẹ́yìn dáadáa ní pé kọ́ mọ̀ fún èèyàn lówó kọ́ mọ̀ àwọn olóṣèlú ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbó yẹn lẹ́bẹ̀ẹ́ wọ́n ń lu àwọn èèyàn kan ni wọ́n kò sínú báàgì wọ́n di bí láti tó ti ṣe lọ́wọ́ yẹn wọ́n wà ní kọ́lọ́pọ̀ owó yẹn níbì kan ṣùgbọ́n ní ìtì òdòdó tó ṣe INEC gbìyànjú gan torí pé níbi tẹ́mi ti dìbò ó ṣòro fún ọ gbogbo bá dìbò tán láti wá fi hàn pé ó gbẹ gádígádí ni pé polling agent olóṣèlú tiẹ̀ lọ́kọ́ náà kan kó tí àìkó lè rí wò tí INEC bá túbọ̀ gbìyànjú níbẹ̀ yẹn tí wọ́n dẹ̀ rí pé àwọn tó bá mú fún nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ kíákíá ni wọ́n ń mú wọn lọ sí ọgbà àtúnṣe kọ́lọ́gbà àtúnṣe ń bẹ̀ yóò tún jẹ́ kó tún dángájíá sí.
a rí i pé nígbà tí ètò ìdìbò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun yẹn ó kù ọjọ́ kan sí ọjọ́ méjì tí ètò ìdìbò yẹn wáyé a gbọ́ pé ní apá abìkan nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun pé ìkan lára àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìdìbò náà sáré ń bájà pé wọ́n náà gba ẹnìkan mú wọ́n fẹ̀sùn kàn pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ káàdì ni wọ́n bá lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ kó sì tó di pé ètò ìdìbò yìí wáyé la gbọ́ pé àwọn àjọ elétò ìdìbò ń fọn rere pé káwọn èèyàn wá gba káàdì wọn tó sì ti pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ káàdì ni wọn ò rẹ́ nígbà irú ẹ̀ńtánná gbámú yẹn ṣé àjọ elétò ìdìbò ní ká di ẹ̀bi yẹn rò ní àbáwọn olóṣèlú.
ṣe rí ní àjọ INEC gẹ́gẹ́ bí gbogbo ilé iṣẹ́ ìjọba àti aládàáni gan wẹ́pà àtòrí tútù àtòrí gbígbẹ lọ́kọjọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹlòmíì bọ́ fẹ́ bá yẹn hàn báyìí àbádà pé tó bá ṣe àṣemáṣe á gé orí rẹ̀ sọ yóò ṣe àṣemáṣe mo rí irú àwọn orí bẹ́ẹ̀ bóyá Ọlọ́run ká sọ pé Ọlọ́run dá orí yẹn fún kí wọ́n bẹ́ dànù náà wọ́n fẹ́ rí ẹ̀ dànù náà ni olú wọn wà ń bẹ̀ àmọ́ bóyá wọ́n ràn ní o àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ tó ń ṣe àyẹ̀wò rẹ̀ wọ́n ń ṣèwádìí lọ tàbí òun ló rọra èmi lè sọ fún yín láì fún mi lówó mọ́ fún mi lówó fún yín fọlọ́fẹ̀ wípé àwọn míì wà lè ṣe INEC wọn fúnra wọn ni wọ́n máa wọ́ ọ̀nà tí wọ́n ń sọ irú bíi pvc tí wọ́n lè sọ dowó tí wọ́n àwọn ìmíì ni wọ́n ní lọ bó lóṣèlú ká mo sì lè bá yín gbé bá jáde èlò lẹ fún mi ẹja fi ká dé mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀.
ẹja wa wo àtìgbà tí ìjọba tiwantiwa ti yíjú padà ní Nàìjíríà pẹ̀lú ibi tá a dé báyìí àti báwọn èèyàn tiẹ̀ ṣe ń ké pé ìdúró de gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣé ìtẹ̀síwájú tó ti wà nísìnyí ṣé ó tún máa pọ̀ sí i níbi tí ìjọba tiwantiwa gbé dé Nàìjíríà yìí ṣé ó ti jẹ́ ìbùkún fún Nàìjíríà ní tàbí nǹkan mi.
ẹ ṣe olóòtú ní èròǹgbà tèmi yàtọ̀ sí bí mo ṣe mọ́ sọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ lágbà tí mo ti mọ̀ wá bí ó dàbí ẹni pé ìwà ń dá báyìí nítorí pé tí aráàlú ìjọba tiwantiwa là ń pè tí aráàlú bá lè pinnu pé ẹni báyìí ní dìbò fún ẹni báyìí ní ìyẹn ní dìbò tó sì lè dúró ti ìpinnu rẹ̀ gbàgbàgbà lájẹ pé bóyá ẹ̀kọ́ fún lówó láti yí lọ́kàn padà bí a bá lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ bí sáà ìdìbò ṣe ń wọlé tó ń tẹ̀léra wọn tá a lè ṣe dáadáa bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ìjọba tiwantiwa gan-an là á ní gbogbo olóṣèlú wa mọ̀ pé tí òun ò bá ṣe dáadáa kóun ṣọ̀nà Ìwó sí Ìbàdàn kó ṣọ̀nà Òṣogbo sí Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ kó ṣọ̀nà Òṣogbo sí Ìlọrin káwọn ọrọ̀ ajé tó wà ní Kwara Ọ̀yọ́ àti Òṣùpọ̀ lè bára wọn pàdé dáadáa kọ́rọ̀ ajé ara lè rúkọ tóun bá ṣe nígbò bá di ọdún mẹ́rin sí ni tó bá tún ní kọ́ wá fóun sínú ipò ó mọ̀ pé kò ní góòsì bí àwọn ọmọ wa ṣe mọ́ sọ.
Thank you so very much.
What you try to give back to society.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're talking with Mr. Femi Ayodoko, a legal practitioner, and we've been reviewing the recently concluded 2022 Osun governorship election. Also, thank you again. Yes, this is where we'll be calling it ending the first guest platform of the Saturday morning trade. Please stay tuned. Our second guest is in the house.
Learned to talk like a man on the 6 o'clock. When I was 18, Lord, I hit the road. But it really doesn't matter how far I go. I can still hear the soft southern winds and the live oak trees. And those Williams boys, they still mean a lot to me. Hank in Tennessee, I guess we're all gonna be what we're gonna be. So what do you do with good old boys like me? Yeah, what do you do with good old boys like me? I've always felt like that the blues and country music were kissing cousins. A bit difference in the way instruments are used and some of the energies. But as far as to the greatest extent, what blues addresses and what country, true country, addresses, it's all wrapped up in feelings. And the best songs go to the heart of whatever emotion that song is addressing. Knowing you stand by me through good and bad makes all the difference in my life. Day by day, sweetheart, I find these are the ties that bind. The little things you do that please me so. Oh, the way you always understand simple joys bring peace of mind. These are the ties that bind. I say more